Guys, it is so exciting to be part of a new video platform that is so different and not for teenagers. Do you know how novel that is? And on a platform that's B2B related, like, I don't know how much more exciting it gets than that, how much more opportunity you have than that to get in organic content, once again, that you don't have to right now put an ad spend behind.
In this episode, we talk with Goldie Chan. Goldie is one of the top LinkedIn video creators, global keynote speakers, and digital strategists. Her channel won LinkedIn Top Voice and is the longest running daily show on LinkedIn platform. She's known as the Oprah of LinkedIn by Huffington Post. Goldie also works with some global brands such as WeWorks, Skype, London Partners, and she also runs her own social media agency, Warm Robots, and also writes for Forbes.
This is Creative Disruption, the intersection where entertainment, data, and creativity meet. Here's your hosts, Ricky Ray Butler and Derral.
Welcome back to the Creative Disruption, and I am super excited that we have an amazing guest today. But before we do that, I got to introduce my co-host, Ricky Ray Butler.
So I don't understand why you have to introduce me every time. Like, well, I think everyone should know that we're a co-host by now.
Okay, well,
are you basically saying that I'm just not really good in front of the camera? And
I wasn't going to say that. Well, leave that in the comments below, right?
Please don't.
Okay, so before we bring on our guest, which I'm really excited about, because we're going to be talking a little bit about LinkedIn, I've been noticing that people are using LinkedIn kind of like Facebook, and it drives me freaking batty. I don't know.
Well, so how are they using LinkedIn like Facebook?
It's like they're putting social posts of things that are not relevant to business. So I'm like, this is a business platform, and we should keep it a business platform.
Sure.
We don't need to see a picture of a cat and see something like it just drives me nuts.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of reposting from other platforms onto LinkedIn right now.
Absolutely.
They noticed has gotten engagement, let's say, on Instagram or other platforms, and it definitely isn't a fit. Yeah, I agree.
I think the thing for me, though, is just like they weren't getting their fix over on Facebook, so they have to go and repost it on LinkedIn. And I'm like, come on. I
could jump in and just laugh at that now. I'm going to totally interrupt you guys because that's absolutely what's happening. And it's no bueno. So.
Right.
So this is the first guest that actually jumped into our banter, so we might as well introduce our guest.
Yes. So we have with us Goldie Chan, who is one of the pioneers on the LinkedIn platform, who is one of the first content creators that has really built a strong following.
How are we doing, Goldie?
Doing great. I just drank about half a gallon of coffee now.
That's why she interrupted the banter.
That's why I interrupted the banter. I was like, guys, I'm ready. Let's talk LinkedIn, which is, I have to say, they're not paying me to say this, is my favorite platform
there you go.
on the internet, which is not surprising, though, because I've built this crazy following on it. So it makes a lot of sense.
Well, let's jump right into LinkedIn video, like LinkedIn and LinkedIn video specifically, because I'm like super fascinated with LinkedIn, and I love looking at people and culture and knowing niches. And what I really liked about LinkedIn for years, it's a great way to actually synergize as a business and get business advice and support by other people in the industry. Like I've been able to reach out to people at YouTube and at Facebook and all these different places, and LinkedIn's a great way because I could just send them a message, where if I tried that on another platform like Facebook, it's like, no, it's never going to happen. Now, Twitter, yes, I can definitely find
Twitter,
people.
I'm making this hand motion. It's like Twitter's 50-50. Twitter is press. So if you want to reach press, Twitter is such a great place to reach
Or YouTubers too, though.
Or
YouTubers, they respond pretty well on Twitter. Yeah. But okay, so LinkedIn is like emerging, and I was super nervous when Microsoft bought it.
Yes.
And did you, how long have you been on the platform, and when did you see this shift?
Oh my gosh, I think dinosaurs were roaming the earth when I joined LinkedIn. But what ended up happening is I joined the LinkedIn video beta in 2017. So here's how the story goes.
All right.
I left a head of marketing position at a social analytics startup based in New York while I was living in Los Angeles. And I had a month sabbatical. And I thought during that month sabbatical, I'm going to fluff around. for lack of a better term. And I was fluffing around, and then I got into the LinkedIn video beta in August of 2017. And I thought, instead of doing content that I think is monetizable or on brand, ironically, I'm going to make whatever videos I want. And at the time, that was pop culture, branding, and marketing. And that was just daily videos. And I thought, I'm going to throw these out there, and no one's going to watch it except for the 10 other people who are in this beta. And I also thought, I'm going to do this instead of a YouTube channel because number one, I know how much work it takes to launch a proper YouTube channel. But number two, no one is going to watch this. It's LinkedIn. I have 2,000 followers. No one's really engaging with me. So I can safely kind of just throw stuff in the universe, like throw just the spaghetti against the wall, and no one will ever see it. And the great irony of that, of course, is then everyone saw it.
Sure.
So all of my spaghetti was all over the newspapers.
So being the first in the platform, like really taking it seriously, that's where you were able to get a lot of press follow-up? Is that?
Yes, so I think that was definitely very helpful. And it's so funny to me to think about the first 20 or 50 or so people who got into the platform the same time as me. Most of them dropped off the face of the earth because I'm such a big community builder and community nerd. So that's part of why I've been so successful is, as you guys know, I encourage others to also create. I don't think it's a competition. I think it's a collaboration. I think that as one of the first in, you have to be a leader. And so you have to set a good example and you have to encourage new people to join. I don't see those people as competition. I see them as they all help the ecosystem rise up, right? And so that definitely helped being first in. It helped so much to get that first initial push. But to be fair, the first 10 videos or so that I did, I mean, those got 100 views. By the way, I thought I was so popular because I was like, oh my gosh, I got 100 views, got 10 comments. 1 or 2 would be from people I didn't even know. When you're creating content when you're a new content creator, that is so exciting because it means something that there's 1 or 2 people you don't know commenting on your content. It means your content is getting out there. So that was ironically so exciting at the time. And now I look at my numbers now and I'm like, ha ha ha.
No, that's amazing. Now, are you doing this full time now?
So I still run my social media strategy agency part-time, but I am creating daily videos. So I have the longest running daily video channel on LinkedIn. We're getting close to 700 daily consecutive, never interrupted videos. Yeah, it's been a journey.
It's a lot of work.
Uploaded a lot of videos. I've definitely been on flights between the US and some other country and been freaking out that my video isn't uploading, but I need to upload between, this certain
Wait.
times.
You're the one that's like on the plane trying to upload a video.
I'm that person that's like, where they're like, please shut down your devices. I'm like, no, you don't know me. You don't know what I've been through.
Like, where's all the bandwidth? Oh, Goldie's on the flight.
I literally remember I was trying to upload a video, I think right before I left for London, right? So I was just like, I just want to get this video out there. So I had the beautifully edited video, of course, I had made, took a lot of hours. It wasn't uploading, like it was uploading at snail's pace. So I opened up my phone and I recorded a video of me holding my laptop, running down the gangplank, because at that point I was late for my flight, trying to upload a video. And I was like, well, I hope one of these videos uploads by the time I sit in my seat. And of course, which video actually uploaded was a video of me madly running to try to catch my flight, like a recording of me trying to upload a video. And that is what my life has been for the past 2 years or so.
That's great.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So what was your history with LinkedIn before you started doing video? Like, was it a platform that you used often?
It was a platform that I used to get jobs. I mean, it was a resume platform. I think that's how a lot of people use it. And sometimes I would use it to reach out to people or brands or et cetera. When I was working in-house, I thought were interesting. It is very accessible and you can reach those people, which is why it's so wonderful. So I was using in that context. And Also, once again, I thought I had so many followers because I had about 2,000 followers and connections total. And I was like, man, I'm doing really good. Like, I'm a very connected person. Once again, so ironic considering my numbers now.
And LinkedIn probably said you're an all-star too.
Yes, and LinkedIn gave me that. LinkedIn gave me that all-star badge, which basically only means that you filled out your profile to completion. But I felt so excited. I was like, I get like 26 views a week, on my profile. I'm famous at this point.
Well, I remember like early career, I used a lot of LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And I still do today. But I remember getting to that 500 plus mark. That was like the minimum mark.
That was just like, okay, you're actually doing pretty good. You're awesome. 500 plus connections.
Right.
I'm still waiting for him to actually connect with me as a first.
Not going to happen. But this is the thing. Derral, if you weren't so creepy online, you're always harassing me on Twitter. I'm not going to let you do that on LinkedIn.
I do harass you on Twitter.
But
that's what friendship
really,
is, guys.
like LinkedIn is one of those platforms that actually helped me build my business Plaid. I started like 10 years ago. It was really, I started a company. I was new. I was not very experienced. And so in order to get in front of people in a non-aggressive, non-annoying way, I figured out how to organically start conversations on LinkedIn to get into doors.
Well,
his conversations like this. Dear sir, I have a good deal for you.
I have an amazing opportunity. Only 30 seconds to make a decision.
49.7.
Please respond now. Quickly.
I feel like that the barrier to entry on LinkedIn is still so low. You can start conversations about business, and that's what people don't understand. The decision makers are on LinkedIn. They are not on any other platform in such a high density as they are on LinkedIn.
And I really like it because like thought leadership is interesting. I like thought leadership, and you see the different platforms that are out there. And, I actually made a post a while back, about a year ago, and I was at a conference and one of the VPs of YouTube says, hey, I really liked your post. I'm like, what post are you talking about? And he's like, oh, on LinkedIn. And I'm like, oh, okay. I guess people actually see it. Well, and it's really cool too, because the insights will tell you who's actually seeing your articles, which is awesome.
Yeah. I've done a couple of posts where people have come and talked to me at events. And I never really thought that they got a lot of reach. But if you think about it, the business community is not that big. It's not that big. It's very niche.
And that's what I tell people who are new content creators, which is even if you get 100 views and 2 likes on your post, guess what? Out of that 100 views, there might be 4 CEOs or director level people that you want to connect with that you don't know has now seen your content, which is why, first of all, of course, I always have to push quality, focused content.
Yeah.
So things that you want to be known for. So don't post that picture of a random horse unless you work with horses on your LinkedIn. Save that for Facebook, save it for Instagram, save it for Twitter, literally save it for every other social platform. On LinkedIn, keep it what you want to be known for, what you want to be known as in a business context, right? We'll stay out of what you want to be known for personally.
keep it off to the side. So let me ask you, Goldie, like there's a lot of people that look as LinkedIn's starting to mature a little bit, and it's starting to bring on new capabilities. Like it has, you can do live video on it now. Is LinkedIn heading in the right direction? Are they doing things right? I mean, are they looking at other platforms, some of the hurdles that they had to overcome? With their ecosystem?
Well, I think it's so funny because LinkedIn literally is the old dog learning new tricks.
Oh dear.
Right? Because it is a mature platform. It's been around for years. It is not a nascent platform like, let's be honest, TikTok is, right? TikTok is so much newer so they can experiment. Everybody's like, oh, it's so new and the children's are on it. But LinkedIn is not that platform. There are people who have literally had accounts since the beginning, and they're all of a sudden like, why is this video showing up in my feed? Get out of here, kids. Get off my lawn. And I think there's
definitely more trolling these days.
There's so much more trolling. Why? Because now it's become a social platform. And I think before it was just really a resume networking platform. And now as the social aspect has come in, along with the good comes the trolls, right?
If they introduce stories stories, I'm going to delete my account and shut it
So,
down. I don't
I
need
will
another
say
set of
this.
stories everywhere.
There are stories, but stories are
Oh.
actually only right now in a very interesting beta. So they're only available to college students who talk about college issues. So
Okay.
they talk about business and networking, but from a college perspective, and they post stories to each other. And I think that is really interesting to not make stories widely available.
Yeah. I think stories are wonderful, like on Instagram. I think that they're useless on YouTube right now.
We'll
but
see.
but LinkedIn, like for me, it's more about business development and business connections. And when you bring the stories in, like people are going to use it in a way that isn't going to benefit the business community.
Well, this is
from that
what they're
perspective.
saying about live
Yeah.
too, though, right? And this is actually my primary concern as a mama bear of the community, of the creative community. I'm a little bit more conservative. I know that's not a popular word in terms of content creation. I don't want to see people going on LinkedIn and creating totally inappropriate live video content,
Right.
which has definitely happened on the F word on Facebook. And I personally don't want to see that necessarily enter into the ecosystem of LinkedIn, which is still business. It is still marketing. It is still like all of my favorite words in the universe.
But I think that content, if it ever does happen,
Yeah.
will get flagged really quickly and shut
Yeah.
down. I don't think,
And it's still in a
anyone-
closed
yeah.
beta. So
Right. I personally like all the innovations happening on LinkedIn right now. Like in the last several
Yeah.
years, I feel like it's been a huge step up because early on, I was really excited about LinkedIn. And I'd say after 5 years, I wasn't as excited. I just had it and I didn't do as much with it.
And
But
that is a story of most people.
Right. But today with the video capabilities, I mean, I'm getting a lot more information. I'm getting in different ways. And so personally, I think the stories would be great because I think that's just a new way of communicating that's more efficient today.
Right.
And
it clutters up everything. I just disagree. Like for me, I know that we have two different
you
approaches.
don't like
but
YouTube stories?
I personally let's focus on LinkedIn. The discussions about
then
LinkedIn.
2 hours later.
No, but the thing about LinkedIn is it is an ecosystem of businesses, and then you can use stories, but I think it's going to be abused. I would rather have LinkedIn take the energy and effort that they're putting in stories and double down in video. Right now, it's like an immature platform right now, LinkedIn Video. And there's so many different enhancements that they could actually do that will bring more value, not only to the people that receive the content and view it, but actually the creator. Like for me, there's just very simple things that you can do right now, but I don't think that they're putting the resources into it as fast as they could.
So you think there needs to be
trying
more
to
focus on what they have?
Exactly. It's
Okay.
like look, when you put the resources it's just me like Facebook. They're coming out with some new feature that no one's ever going to use in a million years. But it's like on LinkedIn, really focus in on what makes LinkedIn great.
I
Like
think
I think it's all
they're-
about connection. Isn't it
Yeah.
makes LinkedIn great? Isn't that do I need a hat like that on probably?
the connection aspect. No, I think that there are just so many projects happening right now because of the Microsoft acquisition that that LinkedIn is focusing on more than just video, right? There's groups now. They built an entire team around LinkedIn groups. So their LinkedIn events is another thing that's in a slightly closed beta. There's all these different projects.
Those make sense.
Right.
Like groups, events, stories, not so much. Let's double down on video. Like I want a custom thumbnail. I want video analytics that's a lot more in depth. I want to be able to have a video library and not just see the stats on just one little video here or there. It's just like there's a whole list of things. And it's just like
there's definitely a whole list of demands that I've heard from the community, and I relayed directly to LinkedIn. So thank you for bringing them up again.
you're like, thank you so much. I've already covered this last.
Well, the thing with me, with stories, there's just such a transparent and then a high conversion rate as a result of those. So I think as a company that has a sales org, and let's say if I have a team that wants to promote an event, it just seems like stories would be an awesome opportunity for that. But I totally get what you're saying. There might be too much right now. My question is, how do you deal with the LinkedIn video algorithm? Do you have any insights around it? Because for me, in my own personal use, it seems a little harder to predict.
So you can't predict it. I like to say that whoever is running the LinkedIn video algorithm is in a mountain somewhere. It's probably monkeys, it's snow-capped. They're like playing around with some typewriters, I don't know. And then whatever gibberish comes out of the typewriter, that's kind of the LinkedIn video algorithm. And I think that other video creators on the platform would agree with me. If you're trying to hack the algorithm and you care only about the numbers and metrics, which, let's be honest, sometimes you have to, right?
Yeah.
You can't predict it right now. Why? Because it is still so new, so nascent that they are playing around with the algorithm. So if I tell you something that I think works today, that may not be absolutely the thing that works next week, next month, etc. as they're building it out. Just like LinkedIn Live came out sort of spontaneously. I mean, I knew about it, but it came out all of a sudden, and now LinkedIn Live is being prioritized in the feed. And so we're seeing a lot of push for that. And you don't know what's going to come next per se, or what is best practices. Although I will say, just in general, if you're thinking about doing LinkedIn video, one really good best practice is to keep it under a minute, keep it a minute or less to start. So that way you at least get views till completion, because it's just shorter content in general. And the other thing is, please stop spam tagging. So I see a lot of people where they spam tag 50 plus people, completely irrelevant people in the post. And that's just that's just a life irritating thing, right? And you're going to alienate, especially some of the top creators on the platform, if you constantly tag them in your posts that are irrelevant, right? Not at all related to what they're interested in or anything like that.
It's like the early days of Facebook.
It really is. I'm
time.
telling you, it's like a mirror to the past of what's happening on LinkedIn right now is what happened at Facebook several years ago. And it's just like, people are like, oh, here's an exploit. They haven't fixed it. And it's like, they're putting so much energy and resources in making it a more robust platform, that they're missing the things that actually make it spammy and turns people like me off. Like, I'm like thinking now, oh, do I want to have time to spend looking at things that are not relevant to what I'm interested in?
And there's quite a bit of
platform.
that growth hacking, which is what you're talking about, right? That's the nice, pretty term for basically trying to exploit the weaknesses in a platform in order to get ahead very, very, very fast. And personally, I'm not for it. I'm all about just the solid, organic content, just keep going and creating the solid content. So you're always known for that, as opposed to being known for the person who this person will go unnamed, but one of the people that I know.
There's only like 5 people putting videos on LinkedIn. So
but there's somebody who actually did written content, and they got booted off the platform because they were not only hilariously exploiting a bunch of these loopholes, they were writing articles about exploiting the loopholes and how they felt so great they could exploit said loopholes. And then LinkedIn, of course, read these articles and then shut them down. And that to me is just, honestly, it's a little bit of hubris and a little bit of stupidity, kind of mixed together.
Well, since you talked about loopholes, let's kind of have this be a discussion, because this is a very hot topic, something that we've covered, for years, but there are view botting, and that happens consistently. There's like bots and all the different things that happen there. I know, Ricky, I know you and your company, you're very sensitive. What's real engagement and what's false engagement?
Absolutely.
So that has happened on every platform, and now I'm starting to see numbers on LinkedIn. I'm like, is it really? Come on, it cannot be this high. As you think. I just don't see that happening.
Is it as big of a problem as it is on like another platform like Instagram?
So I think it's starting to become that. Why? Because the money is starting, the brand deals are starting to come onto LinkedIn. Whenever the money comes, then people who are trying to growth hack to get more money, then they come. So when at the early days of the LinkedIn video ecosystem, in 2017, which was only 2 years ago, when people thought I was a complete idiot, and I got told that often, they're like, go make videos on YouTube. What are you doing? Why are you trying to do these stupid videos on LinkedIn? And now they're all biting their tongue. Yeah, I won. So it's so funny because now money is coming into the ecosystem. So now everybody is like, oh, I'm going to figure out how Goldie growth hacked it. I'm going to do the same tips and tricks that she did to like get there. And I'm just like, no, guys, I've literally been here for almost 2 years. That's how I did it. And I did it every single day. But it's interesting to see people coming into the ecosystem and they want to figure out those loopholes. They want to figure out the growth hacks. And with every loophole, growth hack, here's what's going to happen. You could exploit it for a while and then it's going to close.
Right. And
True of every single platform, as you guys know.
And I think the true key is quality content will always be supreme. You know, you might get some temporary views, either automated or whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, when you're creating better content that people want to consume, then that's what's going to win 100%. And so for me, I've been playing around with LinkedIn video quite a bit for myself and some other people. The thing that I found is it's all about people truly engaging with the video and not necessarily like how long are they watching for? Are they sharing it? Are they commenting? Is the shares getting a lot of comments from their group? You know, there's certain algorithms that I can see that are happening. Now, what are the percentages and promotions? Who knows, you know, but at the end of the day, is it going to be good quality content that people are like, hey, I found value and I want to share this with Ricky because Ricky would find value in it as well.
Well, it's so funny. So one of the subjects that I cover, because I cover lots of very random subjects, is Dungeons and Dragons. And I actually work
on
LinkedIn. And I write for Forbes, and what do I write about? Extremely nerdy things. Like I write about how Dungeons and Dragons teaches us about leadership and about storytelling and all these things. So I just released an interview video with a couple of, actual like movie television stars that you recognize who play Dungeons and Dragons, and I interviewed them about what they think about storytelling and D&D. And it's funny because this video, is it doing very well? It's actually not numbers-wise doing very well, but it's getting so many shares. That's what's fascinating to me. People are privately sharing this video, and they're like secretly watching it and commenting on it. And I get these secret messages like, "Oh my God, I love D&D. Thank you so much for sharing this." And I think it's so funny because publicly, it's definitely not one of my better performing videos, but it's privately, all these people are watching it. And I know there are so many CEOs out there who play D&D or have played D&D their lifetime, and they're watching that too. And now they know I'm a D&D aficionado, right?
Well, that's interesting. Well, I've played D&D probably like 3 times. And the reason why I played is that everyone would tell me, a lot of people would tell me that I look like a D&D nerd. I was like, well, this must be really cool. I should try this out and see if I like it. And so I've been playing with the Corridor Digital guys. I don't know if you know them. They're a YouTube channel. Amazing. And they're way into D&D, and they have like these like castles, and like one of them's like, Sam's like this dungeon master that has all this stuff. I played it once. I was like, whoa, that is cooler. And like if you get into it and you're playing with people that are into it, they're very like dramatic. It's actually really fun. Derral loves D&D. Like
I've never played D&D.
You've never played
in my whole life. I was always stuck.
He's probably gonna harass me on Twitter again.
No. There's nothing wrong with D&D. Like there's nothing wrong with it all. But
the storytelling is amazing. It forces you to use your imagination.
Nintendo the whole time. I was just playing Nintendo. I didn't have time for D&D. That took too much time.
Yeah, it does take a lot of time.
I think that there are so many interesting ways you can take unexpected content and make it related properly to the ecosystem in LinkedIn.
Right.
So I tie things like D&D, Disney, Harry Potter, etc., all the things I love, and I tie them back to business, marketing, branding, things that actually make sense on LinkedIn. What I'm not so much liking is people posting videos of themselves crying on LinkedIn. I feel that content, quite honestly, for personal brand sake, is better served on Facebook or on Instagram. If you want to talk also purely about likes, that content will just do better on these other more personal platforms. And on LinkedIn, when I see that kind of content, I think it's beautiful they're creating content, but I think it's not proper to put it on LinkedIn, and it doesn't help your business brand to post a video of you crying over who knows what and not business related things. Cry over business related things and then post that on LinkedIn.
Well, okay, so LinkedIn video, there's a lot of things. Could you give the viewers and listeners like the hacks? Like what if someone's coming into it says, "Hey, I want to be serious about LinkedIn." Yeah. What should I do? And I'd like to hear it from like a brand side, and then also like just someone that's an individual.
Sure. So first of all, watch my amazing, go on to LinkedIn Learning/Linda and go watch my course on how to do LinkedIn video, which by the way, you can access for free if you have a library card in California, Texas, or New York. So go ahead and do that, guys. But let's talk about it I love talking about it from the brand perspective. It's my favorite. Let's nerd out. So when you're thinking about creating videos from the brand perspective, first of all, we're going to get back to ABCs with brands. What is your major keyword, right? What are you focused on? What do you want to be known for? If you're a car dealership, why does your videos have no cars in it? Don't do that. Make sure that your videos are aligned with whatever you're trying to sell, because you're probably trying to sell something. However, don't make your videos salesy. Make your videos educational about the subject matter that you want to be known for. So this is super simple rules to good, strong, organic content on LinkedIn. And once again, if you're a brand, you can get away with more like, I would say the 2 to 3 minute mark of content to start. And then also make sure that your word captions make sense. Do not throw in 50 hashtags. This is not Instagram. It will not actually help you to do that. In fact, it just once again looks junky, and it will not increase reach. So you just look like the person that's wearing like 12 layers on the airplane because you were too cheap to check in the bag.
I've done that.
I'm looking directly at the two people in this room.
Guilty.
Hey, why in the world do they have hashtags or tagging if you can't use them?
Right. No, I'm just saying, if it worked, do it. But it's currently,
doesn't work.
at this moment in time, it doesn't work. So don't do it. Right? It's as simple as that. But on Instagram, of course, like on Instagram, it works. So you should do that on Instagram. I'm not an Instagram expert, so I'll leave it to the Instagram experts. But so that's kind of how you want to think about it from the brand perspective, really quickly and briefly. Now, personal brand, which is so fun.
Can we stop? Because
yes.
I think I want to interject
There's a lot
something.
of good stuff there.
Yeah, there's just so much that people need to look at.
I'm just going to keep talking really quickly.
I really love that aspect of what brands need to look at. And I think too, they need to understand the audience. Like sometimes how you approach a B2B versus a B2C is completely different. And so you need to look at, okay, who's actually intended to see this? And then what are some problems that they're facing? And I found that brands that focus in on specific target audiences, specific verticals within that, their content tends to succeed. Like if they're saying, okay, these millennials that are working at startups, if we did an article about that and some of the things that they actually fill, guess what happens? The people like resonate with their content and they want to share it naturally.
Because it's educational in a way that's actually useful. And I think that's where people miss the mark on educational content. They're like, I am going to teach this. But is it what people want to learn? Making that face, is it? But once you create educational content that is useful, that's when you've hit your sweet spot. And it does matter thank you for saying that, what your target audience is, who your target demographic is. What are your major goals? How do you want to increase, let's be honest, brand awareness? Because on LinkedIn right now, with your content creation, it's still really brand awareness and significantly less conversion. So everyone wants to convert right away, especially with brands that are entering into the ecosystem. They're like, I want to release a video and then I want to get 3,000 new subscribers. I'm like, ooh, well, that's not really a reasonable ask, especially if you only have 10,000 followers on your brand page. You have to start with brand awareness first on LinkedIn, and you're going to slowly, eventually convert those people. You're going to put them in the funnel,
right?
But you're not like skyrocketing them through the funnel.
So back to brands. I think this is really good. And you probably had something, but I really like two things on LinkedIn a lot. Number one, the cost to entry for advertising is super high. Like to do a sponsored post is like extremely high, which I love because then it's not being diluted and a lot of people are using it that way. The second thing is I noticed that there's not a lot of favoritism between, brand pages versus personal profiles. And like you can have growth on both organically. You don't have to pay for it, which is, hey, if you have some quality content, just because LinkedIn actually has other ways that they make money as well, that they're able to go from there. But I really like that per se. But would you encourage brands to supplement it, do like a blending strategy where they have a strong organic piece and then just kind of throw some ad spend behind it?
I mean, if you have the budget, always buy. Quite frankly, right? If you have the budget, First of all, create beautiful, stunning, amazing, targeted, organic content, number one. But number two, if you're a big brand, if you're a big corporation and you have that ad spend budget, yes, what are you doing? Of course, buy targeted ads that will get you in the door, especially if you're B2B, because B2B on LinkedIn is such an interesting ecosystem. I love it because you don't have any other social platform on the internet that has that kind of B2B, like all the B2B businesses are on there and they're looking out and they're seeing who they want to buy from, right? It's B2B buying from B2B. And if you can get in, if you can carve your own slice of that universe and you're B2B, you're golden. And we all know that in this room. But how do you get there? And I think now there's a chance to get there organically, which 3-4 years ago, there wasn't really a chance to get that kind of views or that kind of engagement and interaction organically. And now there is. So why wouldn't you shift, say, some of your previous ad spend on LinkedIn over to organic content? That's kind of also how I think about it. A lot of these brands have been in the ecosystem there forever. Now think about actually going almost backwards, going from ads to organic, because you can get a little bit more of a push now. So why wouldn't you want to try something slightly newer, which is ironically going back to organic unpaid?
Right.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, one thing you mentioned is don't be salesy.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of those things where I think we've all experienced with content on LinkedIn with somebody uploading a video that seems very self-serving, doing a rah, come and buy this or do this. But I think that's like a principle in life. And if you really think about it, do you know any sales executive that's been very successful that's the over-the-top salesy? Usually not. Usually it's someone that can teach, they can educate, and they can explain things in a way that makes it so people understand what they need and it makes sense. And it sounds like it's the exact same type of methodology that needs to happen on LinkedIn. You need to create content that's engaging, sure, but it needs to educate and it needs to have substance.
Yes, and I think that when you try to be ironically, right? And I think the same thing is, I love to bring up dating. The same thing is true of dating. When you try to be like, hey, I'm single, like, please, somebody love me, it doesn't work as well.
The desperation.
The desperation, right? Which we were talking about before we recorded this. When you're desperate in any context, that's significantly less attractive than when you're confident. And confident salespeople don't need to sell directly. Confident salespeople know that the product they're repping is so good that if they give you exposure to it and the ethos behind it, it will naturally sell. And I think keeping that truth alive will make people also better salespeople, but also that is what converts in the end, is just being so confident that you know that of course your product sells because it's just plain good enough and you're confident in it.
Okay, so now we talked about business. Let's move to the creator side. Now we're ready to give them some tips.
So now the creative tips. So whenever I'm talking to people who are thinking about just building their own personal brand series, let's start with the building blocks, right? Once again, this is all just personal brand 101 too. So I always start with the targeted demographic. Who is your audience? Are you an accountant speaking to other accountants, or are you an accountant who's speaking to prospective clients? Two very different ecosystems. Maybe not the sexiest example, but that's LinkedIn. I love that LinkedIn is not the sexiest platform out there. That to me makes it so sexy. I don't know. I'm just a weird contrarian like that. But that's the first thing you need to do is figure out who you're actually targeting. That's number one. Number two, what do you want to deliver to them? That's once again of value to them, not to you, value to them and educational. Number three, is it consistent? Or do you have a consistent posting schedule? And is your content consistent? Do you have consistency with, okay, I'm always going to talk about accounting processes, or am I always going to talk about just being a better leader in the accounting industry, right? And having consistency across, say, the 6 videos that you decide to make. And that's the other thing. Cap the number of videos. Be like, I'm going to create 5 videos on this. I'm going to create 10 videos on this. Go ahead, shoot them all, right? Shoot them all in one go, especially if it's scary. Film them all, and then segment them out and then post them every Tuesday, every Thursday, whenever you think it would do the best, and try sandboxing with times that you're posting it. And then finally, and I love this part, once again, keep it a minute or less. Keep it very, very short. And it's so easy when you're creating a video, especially if you're vlogging for the first time, that you start talking and then 12 minutes later, you're like, here's my video. And it's so concise and it's great. No, it's not. Absolute trash. So I'm horrible. It's not absolute trash. It's wonderful. I heart all of you content creators. But it's so easy because it happens to all of us that our first videos, especially once again when you vlog, go so long because you get nervous. And when people get nervous, they ramble. They talk without thinking because that's what our brains do when we get into fight or flight, when we get scared. So you want to make yourself do 1 minute. Now, how do we make ourselves do 1 minute of content? Before every video, we bullet point out what we're going to say. Very simple, right? Just do maybe 3 or 5 major bullet points of what you're going to say. And I guarantee it will be so much easier for you to stay within that minute mark because look how prepared you are. And you know you're going to do 6 videos on this. You've bullet pointed out the entire series. You're your own production studio. Congratulations.
So doing a mini series is really important.
Yeah.
Like around the same topic. Now about the 1 minute video. That seems to follow a similar pattern to other video platforms, where it seemed like, having a shorter video earlier on during the platform was sometimes the best way to go. Mm-hmm. But do you think LinkedIn could potentially change and like be really focused on more long form?
Yes. And I think that there are people who have been successful who started with long form from the get-go, who are doing 6, 7, 8 minute vlogs. I call it early YouTube.
Yeah.
You can get away with that now.
I think personally, like I see the wisdom for 1 minute videos. I really do. I see the wisdom. But at the end of the day, I think if you're providing really good quality content, I think a 3 minute video is the best reach. And the only reason why I say that is not disagreeing with you on that. I think there's value in both. Mm-hmm. But a good 3 minute video is about the tolerance level of most people. Like if you can pull them in a minute, they'll watch another 2 minutes.
Well, I will agree with you if you're an experienced content creator.
If you're starting out.
If you're starting out and this is the first time you've ever created video content, period, then I think shorter is better. Now, once again, if you're an experienced content creator who's been on YouTube, who's been on Instagram, all these other platforms, yes, of course you can do longer videos because you don't necessarily need to do the bullet point thing I suggested. You already know how to create engaging content, engaging videos that isn't just rambling. The number one thing I just advise against is the rambling videos. But once again, I will say in the current LinkedIn video ecosystem today, right now, you can get away with rambling videos because people will watch almost anything right now because it's still early. But as we get more mature, that won't be the case. I personally believe that people won't watch rambling videos as LinkedIn video gets more mature.
The whole bringing value and the value proposition. I know there's a lot of people that are really skeptical when they start creating their first videos. It's like, what are we going to do? And I think that right there, I think looking at LinkedIn differently is like, if you're doing value first, you can do a minute, you can do 2 minute, you can do 3 minute. And I know a lot of people will ramble, but if they're just a little bit well composed in the sense of here's my bullet points, this is what I'm going to talk about, this is the end result that I'd like to see. I see a lot of techniques that people have been learning on other platforms like YouTube and LinkedIn, or not LinkedIn, but YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram that they'll be able to use a lot quicker on LinkedIn. The big thing, and this is something that I just when I work with clients and creators, it's like we got to think of the individual you're speaking to. And right now, I think why I'm a little disgruntled on LinkedIn is because people are forgetting that. They're saying, oh, this is like for everyone. This is like Facebook. And that's where I get a little frustrated. It's like, no, I don't want to know things about your cat. If I did, I want to follow your cat on Instagram or whatever.
Unless you're a veterinarian or you have a cat-related business.
I like how she corrects me on this.
I always want to correct that because if you were a vet or you once again have a cat-related business, yes, talk about cats. Why? Because it's business related, and that's what I interrupted you to say.
No,
exactly
that's
what you're
fine.
saying, right?
Well, now, I haven't read through the terms of service as of late. I usually do that with every platform just so I have a good understanding of what's happening. and I've heard this by a couple creators that are on LinkedIn, and I don't know if it's valid or not, and I don't know if you have the answer or not, but it has everything to do with Ricky. And Ricky's company, what he does is integrated brand deals. And I heard on LinkedIn that's like not only frowned upon, but they'll actually delete the video if it's an a paid sponsorship integrated brand deal that you're not using LinkedIn advertising. Do you know anything about that?
So I do think right now with just LinkedIn Live that they're really frowning significantly upon that, with just because also it's so new, it's in beta. It's kind of unfair to do a brand deal on that when other people don't even have access yet. I should have read the TOS before this, but I haven't read the TOS. But I will say what LinkedIn is actually frowning upon is not the brand deals. What LinkedIn is frowning upon is the no good little things that are happening in the background of LinkedIn, and sometimes hilariously on the LinkedIn platform itself. Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about pods, which exists on, of course, Instagram. And if you are a marketer at all, you've seen or you've heard of Instagram pods. I actually really regularly get asked by people, CEOs of big companies, who are like, Goldie, throw me in a LinkedIn pod. And I'm like, I actually can't, because I've stepped away from using pods after the first few months of doing video. Why have I stepped away? It makes me so nervous to do that kind of canned engagement that isn't real engagement, period.
Yeah, it's not valuable.
It's not valuable. It's not going to get my client, if I'm partnering with a brand, it's not going to get them like more signups. It's just going to make me look better. And
it's vanity metrics, and that's the whole thing. Like, you have a way to really see the engagement. I mean, we've talked about this in the past on previous podcasts, and the reality is like, is it the amount of views and likes, or is it the actual engagements that brand really care about?
I think it has to be real. I mean, because you can now have an issue with fake engagement. Like, pods and bots are starting to act a lot more like humans. They're becoming very smart. And so the whole purpose of working with a creator or an influencer like yourself is that you have an organic, trusting, loyal audience.
Yes.
That's the only reason. We actually even frown down upon a lot of times of putting media behind a post. Now, LinkedIn might be different, with being that, it's a different world, but a lot of companies out there will work with like 4 mid-tier creators on, let's say, Twitter, have them do a post that gets hardly any engagement, and then they put thousands and thousands of dollars behind it so other people see it. Yeah. And from my perspective, you work with someone that has built a community through communication, through creating their videos, and those are the ones that are going to convert or do the best for your brand.
I feel like this is what I tell brands transparently also about LinkedIn right now, the ecosystem. I can guarantee you brand awareness. I absolutely cannot guarantee you conversion. And
right.
if any of the LinkedIn creators that you're working with are guaranteeing you conversion, it's because they're doing something like running Facebook ads on the side, Twitter ads on the side, LinkedIn ads. They're running ad campaigns that you don't know about in order to get that conversion, because that conversion just isn't really happening, at least from what I've seen with my content organically. Conversion doesn't organically happen yet with LinkedIn content.
It might get there as it becomes a bigger community, because it's still very limited.
Once again, 2017 till now is the video community. That's a really short amount of time. And most people think, they're thinking back to when YouTube began. I'm like, that's not when LinkedIn video began. LinkedIn video began in 2017. The community is still maturing. Brands are still figuring out how to work with them. And once again, if a creator promises you conversion, it makes me really nervous, because if I can't promise conversion, how are these other people promising organic conversion?
Well, it's hard to promise anything organic.
Right.
I mean, organic views or engagements or conversion. It's still, it's in its infancy, where it's going to take time for that to happen.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people trying to figure out like where they need to go with video, to get it more mature.
Yes.
But still, it's one of those areas where people should look at it as like a playground. Like, okay, let's start experimenting like crazy and get ahead of this curve before it becomes more mainstream.
Yeah, I'm fascinated to see what's actually going to take off with video video on LinkedIn, because right now there's a lot of people putting other videos that perform quite well on Instagram or Facebook over there, which is fine. I'm not opposed to that. In fact, I actually put one on my video or on my page itself. But I think the critical key is like, what is going to bring the most value? And I think for me, being in the industry so long, it's like, what if we had TED Talks? What if we had conferences that were live streamed that people could have access to? What if we had sessions from MIT or Stanford or whatever? And those are the things that are starting to get the movement behind it. It's like, what's going to bring value to
and that's what's starting to happen with some of the people who are in the live streaming beta is they're streaming conferences. They're streaming. What I've been doing is I like to stream literally while walking around or interviews or things like that because I want to break everything. This is my fun thing to do is you're going to give me LinkedIn Live, I'm going to break it, which I already did a couple of times. Throwing that out there, and the live team loves me for it. But I think that's what's more interesting. It is a playground right now. And when people are already trying to put rules on LinkedIn Live, is what 2 months old now?
Yeah, I don't even have access yet.
1 month old yet? So yeah, and here's
Can
the
you
thing.
invite us? Can you get us on?
No, I tried to fill out the form. I put all my stuff in
you
there.
need
and
to fill out the form properly like everyone.
No, I did. I put out the form and it wouldn't let me hit submit. It's like your journal leaves or you can't submit.
I didn't want you to.
It's just I think they open it up and close it up with they get the sample size. Who knows? But I think it's really fascinating, and I think that's where it can go even further. Because like some of the very best things that I've ever seen in my life, content wise, was behind closed doors that they could have live streamed, but they're like, oh, we don't want it out to everyone on YouTube, but like I could see it like going into a group specifically on LinkedIn or being in a specific vertical on LinkedIn. I could see that bring a ton of value, and so I'm actually not as skeptical with LinkedIn video. Normally, I usually am way skeptical when a platform takes it on. However, I do see some patterns that LinkedIn's using right now that I truly believe their priorities are a little misguided in the sense of where they're doing it. And I understand that they have to report to other people and Microsoft's probably pushing them and they're probably pushing them. But for me, it's like make a better experience for experienced creators to come in and say, look, I can track what I can track and I can see what I can see. And then you'll bring people in that will actually bring quality content on the platform.
Well, this is one thing that I've been doing with LinkedIn, which is I've been dragging them kicking and streaming into this new century of creators, because the moment I became the mama bear, I'm like, great, I'm going to uplift as many creators and spotlight as many creators on this platform as I can. So at VidCon this past year, which Derral, this is how we know each other, I just did it. I went to Jim Louderback and I was like, hey, Jim, I love LinkedIn video. Can we make this happen? I'm going to do the first ever LinkedIn Video Creator Summit. Let's throw together these things. And I was like, I will plan it 1,000% myself and I will bring LinkedIn. And so now LinkedIn is part of VidCon just because I just said, you guys.
And you crushed that. It was an amazing presentation.
Thank you so much.
And I'm one of those guys that's like, yeah, it was okay. But yours was really good.
I hope it reflects how much love I have for my community.
Well, so much so that's why I invited you to the Vid Summit to come speak.
Thank you so much.
I'm like, hey,
I appreciate it so much. But I think that it's so fascinating to see LinkedIn video just becoming more mature, and also the creative community behind LinkedIn video, and watching LinkedIn try to navigate that, because LinkedIn has never had creators on the platform like this before, ever. And you think about it, it's a huge corporation, and they're now getting people who are ambassadors, fanboys, etc. They've literally never experienced this before. One of the things I did was the first piece of hate mail I got, one of my friends printed it and my response onto a t-shirt, onto multiple t-shirts. So I think it says something like, why are you making these videos on LinkedIn? This should be on Facebook. And it had horrible grammar. And I just said, thank you for that amazing opinion, because that's what it is. That was my response, right? And my friend printed it on a t-shirt, printed on several t-shirts, and I mailed that t-shirt to the video team at LinkedIn, because I was like, here you guys go. You're changing lives.
Yeah. Well, so we had a guest on, John Ushai. He's project manager for IGTV.
I think he's the head of marketing marketing for
my
IGTV.
bro.
He is awesome. So
John
he
does great
actually just
cartoons.
launched a series. Like he has a series that's on LinkedIn now, and he's going all in, and it makes sense because he has a cartoon that's geared to startups and millennials, and it's LinkedIn based.
Yep.
But now he actually has a series that he's putting on, and he's super busy. I don't even know where he has the time to even do that. But what I'm excited about is to see the response, and his whole series is about kind of doing a review of ads.
Yep.
And have you seen it? The ad
I have
amazing?
seen it,
It's so good.
It's so good. And John is such an intelligent creator. So I actually met John when I first started on LinkedIn video, really creating videos, because I went in and I was just like, I want to know who every single one. So I know almost every single one of the original 1,000 or so LinkedIn creators because I love building communities and I love knowing who's part of my beautiful community. And John's cartoons are so wonderful. Everybody who doesn't follow John, please follow John. But seeing his new video series, I'm so glad because I have personally been nudging John to create a video series forever because I was like, John, you will only add to this ecosystem. You will only make good videos. And I know this because you already create great content. And plus you were at YouTube for so long. You know what makes a good video, and other people don't have that luxury of that knowledge.
So is there custom thumbnails yet? Because that just drives me freaking batty.
There absolutely is not. And this is part of the LinkedIn video course I tell people, which is your first 1 second counts, because there aren't custom thumbnails yet. So you have to bake in a custom thumbnail for people who aren't video creators, aren't editors.
Like literally, that's not very hard to do with the programming team. I understand, like they don't want bait and switch, but to have the creators have to do that 1 second is just ridiculous when they can actually add the feature for it.
Ironically, so over the course of this year and a half, almost 2 years that I've been with LinkedIn Video, I've been just pushing them for various things. One of the things that they implemented, because I pushed them so hard, was actually getting SRT files.
Oh, that's great. So
that was me. You're
so,
welcome.
Okay, so Goldie, I'm just letting you know now, I have a whole list. I will send it to you. Please get it done for me.
I have no power and no say.
well, that's great. So we'll see how it goes.
We'll end with that. No, I really adore the LinkedIn Video team, and I have
it's not very big compared to other platforms.
So small. I don't think people understand.
How big is it?
It's a handful. It's like a hand, and there's how many fingers do I have on my? It's probably less than 20 people who are working on it. It's very, very small. They are all stretched to their limits right now.
Well, and when you're saying the video team, because it's like the video and education team are together, so I mean it's even smaller than what it is because some of them are only focusing on the video portion.
And they
of it.
are listening, so that's the crazy
well,
thing.
And that's what I'm saying is like divert resources where you're trying to push the envelope and bring a new feature to the platform instead of really define what that feature should be and get it there quicker. Because I think LinkedIn Video, out of all the platforms, I'm more interested in LinkedIn Video than any other platform right now. I think IGTV is close to that, but for the audience,
shout out to Sean.
It is so
who is currently at IGTV.
Yeah, but it is so interesting. It is so interesting because people are craving for it. I can see it. I can see it a mile away that they're craving for good quality content because I find myself less on Facebook and more on LinkedIn now because I don't like to have people's drama. I hate drama when people are talking about this or that. And I hope that they protect that ecosystem. And I hope that they also protect, me not getting spammed in messages because I'm at the point where I'm ready to almost turn it off. And that was the core of what LinkedIn was and is for me, is like to be able to communicate with people, either through post or from through the messenger and really connect with them on that level where we can do business or give them a shout out or thank them for this or that. But now I just get inundated by hey, I'll grow your business 10x.
But that's part of an inherited platform, right? That is just what LinkedIn has been. And so getting rid of that is much harder than, once again, if it was a brand new platform where they could just put in rules so that doesn't happen. It's already happened. Yeah. It's already there. So reining it back is much more difficult than moving something forward.
I've actually contemplating doing a bot. I know bots are, against terms of service. But I want to waste these people's time that are wasting my time. So it's like, hey, I can double X. Okay, tell me more. I want to just kind of let that automated
I've kind of evolved with that. Like, I have probably like 500 requests pending, and it's because
I don't want to tell you how many requests pending.
I can only imagine. But
I'm still one of his that's pending. He hasn't even.
I don't want to get sold.
Wow. And, you don't want to get into that bot cycle.
It's really annoying. But to be honest, though, when somebody does have something worthwhile sharing with me, it will. I mean, it will. I mean, I look at every single request and I go to every single profile and I read every single message that's sent to me. Yeah. That is a request to like connect.
Oh yeah, basic networking 101. Send a message.
If it's good stuff, I'll listen and I'll respond, or I'll ask a question, and then I might let them. Then I'll connect with them. Yeah. But it's one of those things where if people do it right, it can work very well. But a lot of people aren't doing it right.
Yeah. And there's a lot of shady people, but I don't know. I'm very hopeful for the platform. I think it's moving in the right direction. I just hope that they, are listening to this podcast and listening to you to, really see some of the directions. Cause like I look at it from a creator standpoint, and then kind of secondary from a brand. Ricky looks at it from a brand's perspective, probably secondary from a creator. Right. And there's a ton of opportunity. And I think, right now, like if I was in control of LinkedIn video, I would say, okay, let's figure out a way that monetization can happen, because you definitely want to do it. Let's figure out a good way for integrated brand deals that's be able to track some things. I would do tools that they can see.
I do love Facebook Handshake. I mean, I know people think it's really annoying and things like that, but I like how clear things are. I'm very above the board. If we want to go back to Dungeons and Dragons, I'm lawful evil. I like to follow the rules, but I also like to make my own rules. But
I'm chaotic.
All bad. Only lawful.
So you have those key things, and I think the third one, which is really more important, is give tools of analytics. Like you got to know where things are at and make it easy for things to be found. Like, feed-driven systems are so difficult. You have you basically upload something and you post it, and then it starts to depreciate, and it gets lost in oblivion. Which there's some amazing content that would never be lost if there's a great way to actually find it. I mean, trying to find a video on LinkedIn, navigation. Yeah, some simple navigation, which is here's your videos that you're posting. Instead of trying to see what they're doing there. It's a little bit more difficult. It's a lot more difficult, and I'll admit that. It's really tough for, say, my audience to even find my videos, and how they're finding my videos is if they really love me, they literally go to my profile page, they click on activities, they click on posts, and they find my videos that way, and that kind of dedication. But you have to scroll down so much. I tried to find a video that you posted a while back, and I'm like, it's impossible for me to do it. And I'm like, okay, that right there, those are the areas, like if they will improve that, they will be light years ahead of where they'll be by focusing on other stuff. Because like live's great, and I think live has its place, but those are the areas that truly do matter for people to use their platform as a creator or as a brand, because you have to have those metrics. You have to make it easy. And ultimately that's the way you disrupt the platform and really get it to where it needs to be.
Do you have anything to add to that?
I'm just silently nodding and saying, yes, it would be good to have more organizational tools with LinkedIn video, and they've heard all of this before. I bet they've heard it a couple times. I feel like they've heard it maybe 1 or 2 times before from other people, maybe me even. But I do think that it's so exciting. Guys, it is so exciting to be part of a new video platform that is so different and not for teenagers. Do you know how novel that is? That's amazing. Because that's the thing. Like in the last 3 to 5 years, we've seen all these new video platforms, but who have they been geared towards? Like, let's bring back Snapchat. Let's talk about TikTok. All those platforms are for teenagers, and they're short attention span. They're, everything's quick. And this is the first mature video platform or video piece that's emerged in the last few years. And that is so exciting. And it's business related and on a platform that's B2B related. Like, I don't know how much more exciting it gets than that, how much more opportunity you have than that to get in organic content, once again, that you don't have to right now put an ad spend behind.
Absolutely.
It's going to be huge. It's going to continue to keep growing.
Yeah.
It's going to get better. And usually it's the platforms where people are very passionate about, things that could improve are the best platforms.
Do you guys do a lot of B2B integration, stuff like that?
You know what? We've gotten a lot of people that have been interested in the last year and a half, where we have like a B2B or a company targeting businesses, hitting us up. And we've done some of that stuff in traditional integration, but usually the tactics are doing something on LinkedIn, Twitter, and niche communities on YouTube. And but it's not a huge focus of ours, but I think it will become much bigger. Yeah. I think already B2B companies usually come after the B2C companies, and I think now there's a lot of companies trying to find a solution to get inside the content.
Yeah,
that's
and
really
I definitely said no because now I'm the Oprah of LinkedIn, which we laugh about, but it's actually true. Gary Vee actually recently posted, he's like, who's going to be the next Oprah of LinkedIn? And oh, bless my followers' souls. They went and they flooded that post with, it's already
amazing.
Goldie. And I just jumped on and I was just like, hey guys, thank you so much. But I'm looking forward to seeing who's the next Oprah of LinkedIn. Thank you guys.
Wink, wink.
Wink, wink. But it's so fascinating with some of the brands that are approaching me because some of them are so inappropriate for my personal brand. And I just don't take money from brands I think are just not aligned and are not they're B2C companies that are not business focused. They have nothing to do with my brand. And they would just be so much better served on Instagram with Instagram influencers or YouTube influencers. And I tell them that I'm just like, I can't take your money because I'm focused on B2B or business B2C that makes sense, like all the brand partners I've worked with, like WeWork, Skype, Wix, like all of those brands make sense on the LinkedIn ecosystem. But other brands, like there was a toothbrush brand that really, really wanted me to do something, but they wanted me to do literally a video of me brushing my teeth. And I'm like, that's also getting into some other areas I don't want to start creating content for and getting,
Personal hygiene on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
That's okay if it was a dentist, right?
Exactly. If I was a dentist, that would be perfectly fine as a brand that I work with. But I'm not. So it doesn't make sense. They need to go find somebody that's better. But that's what I think is interesting is it's still really new for brand deals. It's still really new for brands that are figuring out how to collaborate with influencers. And this is the talk I gave at the end of last year about LinkedIn influencers and how to figure out who is best to work with and how you can, as a brand, work with LinkedIn influencers in a way where you aren't losing your ROI. Because there's a lot of money being thrown around right now or just starting to be thrown around. And I just, having been on the brand side, having been in-house, I don't want to see brands waste their money.
Right.
I want to see brands spending their money in a way
because they're going to return if they do.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're going to return if they do. And I'm not always the right fit, so I tell people that. But I also tell people, be really smart about who you do pick to be the right fit.
Okay, so here's a question that's really important, and
Yes.
you probably don't know the answer or you're under NDA that you can't say the answer. But are they going to do pre-roll ads in front of the videos? Because, that is the question of the day.
Oh, like another form of monetization?
Yeah.
Green is my favorite color. Thank you for asking.
All right, we'll go in a different direction. But
So what
that's
I'm
really
saying-
cool that
what-
you might be able to have another form of monetization.
We'll take that as okay, I can't talk about it.
That'd be really smart, though,
I do
to have a
love
rev
dogs
share.
as well. Thank you for asking.
But that would be really smart to be able to have a rev share with the community, like YouTube.
I think that'd be off the charts.
That'd
have
be
your
amazing.
two-person banter now about
Yeah.
that.
I have one more question.
Yes.
Are the talent agencies trying to represent the community of LinkedIn?
That is what is fascinating to me because I'm so present, I'm so visible, and I mean, let's be honest, I have green hair. I have a really interesting look for a LinkedIn influencer that you wouldn't expect. The talent agencies are and I'm not talking, I don't even want to name names. So I'm not, I was about to name a couple names that we all know that are big here in LA where we're all based. So some smaller agencies are getting serious about trying to rep some of the talent that's on LinkedIn. And some of the bigger agencies, they're just starting to be like, oh, that exists. So I think that if LinkedIn video continues along this path in 2 or 3 years, I think some of those big agencies might want to rep some of the biggest talent.
They definitely will.
And they definitely will. And some of the smaller agencies are already trying to snatch up some of the talent, by being like, I saw you first. And I think that is really interesting. And talent agency, management agencies, if you're smart, you will take this talent now. You will just hip pocket those people so you have them. So when the big unnamed agencies come, you already own them because you already flattered them by taking them on in the very beginning. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, it might be a different model though. I think probably a lot of these people that create audiences and make a lot of content might see themselves more so as production houses.
Yeah.
Where maybe they don't see themselves as celebrities where they need management or where they want to maybe hire their own sales teams.
Right.
I think it could go in a lot of different directions.
Well, I think it's very interesting, even just outside of management. So some of the brands that I've worked with, or some of the brands who potentially want to work with me, they're like, great, I want to see you have higher numbers on Instagram. And I'm like, what does that has nothing to do with my audience. It's a very different audience I have on Instagram. My audience is teeny tiny on Instagram and not super great engagement. Why do you want them? They're like, well, we just understand that. So we want the thing we understand. So this is also how I know it's so early. It is still so early
because that goes back to my point of
early.
giving the tools that are needed to be able to digest who's actually watching the content.
But I also feel like it's what they're comfortable with.
Yeah,
I agree it's analytics, better analytics, but I also agree they know what Twitch is now, right? They're just starting to understand Twitch. They know what Instagram is. They know what some of these other platforms are, but they don't know what LinkedIn is. And it's making them all very nervous, from management to brands and all these things. They want a piece of the pie, but they don't even know if it's a pie. It's probably a cake.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, I just love these podcasts. And is there anything last that you'd like to tell the people? Anything? This is your platform now. Go ahead. We'll use this on LinkedIn as a 1 minute video.
We'll
Go.
Oh my goodness. Well, then as my 1 minute video, if you are thinking about creating content either for yourself and your personal brand or for the brand that you either work for or you are creating yourself, go ahead and do it. Now is the best time to jump in and make mistakes. And I think we all have a fear of failure, but now is the time to go in, create those videos. There is a supportive community of video creators on LinkedIn that will support you in your content creation. And as long as you follow every single one of the rules that I've outlaid out, along with every single rule that Derral has ever outlaid out, and every single rule that Ricky has ever outlaid out, as long as you think intelligently about the content you're creating, you'll do fine. But also, once again, it is totally fine to make mistakes because we are in, like I like to say this, the wild, wild west of LinkedIn video. So grab a horse, jump on in, grab your cowboy hat, and get on going.
She did that without bullet points.
That's amazing.
Right at a minute.
Yeah. Thank you so much for coming, being a part of this.
Thank you so much for watching this podcast. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button, whether you're on YouTube or your favorite podcast place. And we'll see you on the next video.